Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Creating Wealth. And we have our amazing coach and mentor, Robert Allen, in the house. How are you doing, Robert?
Excellent. You want to create some wealth? You're going to learn some things today you couldn't learn any other place.
Thank you. And yeah, we're super excited for today's topic because last episode we talked about the bigger picture of choosing a location, but today we're gonna zoom in a little bit and take a look at some of the aspects once we are in the city that we truly want to invest on. So, first of all, is it important to take a look at the convenience of the property before we invest on that one?
That's part of the location analysis. Where is it located? Is it located close to things? But I'm going to take you in a totally different direction.
Oh.
I'm going to ask you to start first with the highly motivated seller. For example, it doesn't matter what type of real estate it is. I can broaden it out into commercial properties, into residential properties. I can do it in single family homes, things of that nature. The most important thing in the entire process is not where it's located. It's not what condition it's in. It's what is the seller's circumstance? Is the seller going to be flexible? Is the seller a highly motivated seller? And this is extremely rare. So I want to point out this. When I went to San Francisco and they took away my wallet and I had to buy a property in 72 hours, I'm looking for the highly motivated seller, and I don't care where it is located. I only do that analysis second. Mm-hmm. Then when I found the highly motivated seller, I realized they're going to be easier to negotiate with. Mm-hmm. Do I want that property? Then I'm going to do my analysis. Then I'm going to, and then frankly, is it in a good location? Is it located close to schools, close to shopping, close to work? Is it more ideal that way? So it's the second step I take, which is basically backwards from the way most people teach it. Most people would say, you got to look and find the right locations and find the right, the circumstances. It's more important for me than to find their highly motivated seller. So if that seller has a commercial space, I might want to look at it, if they have a storage unit, I might want to look at it. I want to start first with a highly motivated seller, and then I'll go deep. I'll go deep. Then I want to find out the condition of the property. I want to take out the location of the property. What's the price? Is the price good? Is it wholesale? What about the fix up? Is it going to require a lot of money to fix up? Then I can apply the other areas of analysis to this particular deal. But most people, they go and find the house they want in the neighborhood they want. And then they find out that the seller, because of that, is not highly motivated. Therefore, they end up playing a retail game.
Oh, wow.
They end up having all kinds of people who like that neighborhood. Therefore, they're going to bid up the price. It's going to be a competitive situation. I would rather look for the highly motivated seller first. And then I applied all the other areas of analysis. Yes, it'd be better if it was great location, located next to the schools and the shopping and things like that. That would be ideal. But it's not a deal killer. It's probably usually those types of properties are located, the ones that are highly located in great locations and in close to everything. More than likely, their prices are going to be higher. More than likely, there's going to be more demand. There's more people fighting for those deals because they're in good locations, right? I like to look for the deal first. Is it a good deal? Even though it might not be in the most ideal location, is it still, compared to other properties that are in that location, is it below the market? Is it a wholesale deal? Usually when a seller is highly motivated, the location sometimes isn't great, but I'm not looking for a seller who has a property problem. I'm looking for a seller who has a personal problem. The reason they're selling is not because the property is bad, not because the location is bad. It's because they've got a health issue. Maybe their spouse just died. Maybe they need to move across the country. Maybe they are being transferred to another job. Maybe they inherited it and they don't like it because it's got lots of hassles that they really didn't expect. So when I have the highly motivated seller, I'm able to negotiate a better deal, frankly. Mm-hmm. So it's just the exact opposite of the way most people look at real estate investing. The realtor is going to take you to the best location. They're going to brag about how great that property is. In fact, that's how you can tell in an advertisement that the seller's not flexible, because the ad was filled with how beautiful and incredible this property is. A great location, it's great condition. It's a big, long ad with all kinds of verbiage in it. And I really don't want an ad like that. I want the one line ad that goes, "I'm desperate, help me get rid of this property because I've got a problem I need to solve." So when I look in the real estate listings, the multiple listing service, I'm looking for clues like that. Now, when we're in a hot real estate market like we are now, then highly motivated sellers are much, much less. But I keep telling you that they're 1%. But 1%, how many properties do you need to buy? I've told you that at the minimum you should have 2 properties a year. But unless you're really aggressively building a portfolio with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 properties, 2 a year is enough. So I don't need to look at thousands of properties. I just need to look at 100 properties and find one, So I want to do my looking without having to go look at a physical property. I want to do my looking online. I want to be looking on the multiple listing service. I want to spend the most amount of time looking where I'm not literally being in a car with a realtor going to look at a piece of real estate they think I like to buy. Right. I want to look at the clues that let me know that I even want to go look at that property. Major clue would be price, is the good price. And the second clue would be, actually the first clue is the seller's situation. I want to find highly motivated sellers. Because remember, I'm the nothing down guy. I'm the creative financing guy. Mm-hmm. So creative financing means I need flexibility. If it's not creative, it means it's traditional. That means it's retail. It's lots of cash, full price, listed with a realtor. No, I don't want those kind of deals. I would prefer to find a list for sale by owner that's not listed with a real estate agent. So the real estate agent hasn't filled with unrealistic expectations. Because, when properties are so hard to list now because they're few and far between, the realtors are going to bid those prices up. They'll go to a seller and say, "Seller, we can get you a good price for this. What price would you like?" Mm-hmm. And they in order to quote unquote convince the seller, they're going to mention a higher price. So essentially, just even planting that thought in the seller's mind ruins that seller.
Yeah, because he's not going to be more flexible anymore.
Totally. Yeah. They're gonna want all cash and the highest price possible. Right. And that's what realtors do to a real estate investing scenario. We don't like that. We want the seller to be highly motivated, so highly motivated that they're willing to put clues in the listing agreement. Seller moving out of state. Seller might be willing to carry some of the financing. Seller might be willing to accept a part of down payment, a motor home, or a vacant lot that you own, or something else. So the seller is indicating in the multiple listing comments section that they are more flexible. And so as I look through an entire multiple listing service, I'm going to go to the neighborhoods I like. I'm going to pick, working with the realtor, tell me where the lower than median price properties are located. Let's go there. Let's look through the multiple listing service. Let's look for highly motivated sellers. Let's look for the clues, and there are few and far between. Out of 100 properties that you look at in a neighborhood, in a city, only 1 or 2 are going to have clues like that. That's what I want. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I want to talk to that seller. I want to look at this property. I don't want to look at the other ones because they're all retail. Right. I'm an investor. I need to have wholesale, right? So either have to be wholesale price or wholesale terms. And therefore, the realtors are resistant to this. They don't get what we're doing. They have retail buyers come into their office all day long. Help me find a house. I need to find a house. It's a hot market. Help me find a house. The buyer that normally walks into their office is a retail buyer, and they're okay for paying full price. We aren't. I'm not. I want to find a highly motivated seller so I can negotiate a better deal, because I got to have one of those two flexibilities. Either it has to be a better price, lower than retail, or it has to be flexible terms.
So when you mean flexible terms, what kind of terms are you referring to in this case?
40% of the properties in America are free and clear. What does that mean? That means that there's no mortgage. Therefore, the seller owns the property outright. Well, if I go to the real estate office, they'll want to convince that seller to sell it all cash, meaning have the buyer come in, put a down payment, refinance, you get all your cash, you leave with 100% of your money, right? Well, where are they going to put that money? So let's say it's a $300,000 property, and it's free and clear. There's no mortgage on it. That means they're going to get $300,000 in cash. What are they going to do with it? Well, they could invest it in something. Maybe they put it in a bank at 0.5% interest. Maybe they put it in a government bond at 3 or 4% interest. It's still ridiculous. Right. Inflation is much higher than that. So I can say to the seller, Mr. Seller, I can give you a higher interest rate rather than I can give you your price. You want your price? I'll give you your price. I just want no down payment. And you be the bank and let me make monthly payments to you. Now, of the 40% of the properties that are free and clear in the United States, what percentage of those are highly motivated to sell? Maybe if they got all that equity, they're probably not highly motivated because, hey, they don't have a problem with mortgage payments. So I'm looking for them to have a personal problem that's so urgent and immediate that they're willing to carry the financing. So let's get it done quickly. It's going to take 30 days, 60 days for us to get the mortgage all the way through. And then I'm going to have to inspect it. And, rather than doing all that, let's avoid the inspection. I'll buy it as is. I'll take the risk. If you go through a realtor, they're going to take it to an inspector. Right. And that inspector is going to find problems with your property. And they're going to come up with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 worth of problems. Mm-hmm. And that inspector is going to make sure that you fix those problems before we sell it. Well, I'll solve you all of that. I'll take it as is. But I want you to let me make your monthly payments. And I'll be you be the bank. Therefore, you get to earn 5, 6, 7% interest on your mortgage. Whereas if you were to go to a bank, put your money in the bank, it's going to be 0.5%. It's going to be a 1%. It's going to be dramatically lower. I can give you better options. So I'm looking for someone who has a lot of equity. That's better. The better equity, the better. But I want highly motivated sellers. And then I'm going to evaluate whether I want that property or not. And I may not be buying in the best locations. I might be buying on fringe locations. As long as the values are maintained and they're stable, then I'm okay with that. I drive by properties and I see properties that are on the street, and they're really busy. I can't even believe that somebody would buy that house where it's on a busy, busy street. Why did they even buy it? Well, some people don't think about that. They just buy it and then they move into it and they realize this is really busy and it's noisy and that's not the kind of neighborhood we thought we wanted to buy. Mm-hmm. Let's sell it. Let's move somewhere else. Now, should you buy that property? Well, if it's a rental, it's not nearly as problematic. The renters, they're used to problems with their property. So I might be willing to take a property like that. Mm-hmm. And it's not the greatest location. If I happen to find a highly motivated seller that has a property in an excellent location, in excellent condition, close to everything, that's a plus. That's a plus. Sure. But finding a highly motivated seller is the most important part of the process.
And I feel like most beginner investors, they get caught up on, I would love this house because I would see myself living there,
exactly.
which is not exactly what you're going for as an investor. You as an investor, you're looking for a property that truly is going to give you the profits that you're looking for, like that passive income that you really want to get. So then the first thing that you're looking at is pretty much the numbers, because renters, as you mentioned, I mean, they can get used to certain situations. Of course, I'm not saying
Yeah.
a really bad location where there's
Yeah, but
crime
if they're
every
moving
day,
from an
but at
apartment
least-
building into a single family home,
That's right.
apartment buildings noisy, all of them. There's up and down the
Yeah.
halls, there are people up, people below. There's all kinds of noise.
Or maybe they're even like moving from a room into a house. That's
So
like, yeah.
I'm okay with taking a little bit less than desirable. People say that the most important principles of buying is location, location, location.
Mhm.
And I'm just saying that's one of the 5. And the most important thing to me is seller flexibility.
That's right. And so speaking about the seller flexibility, you mentioned also how on the MLS, by the very end, you can see the comments notes for this specific property. What other clues can you get from the MLS? Because I've gone through the MLS a couple times. I've seen a few of the listings that they have. Not all of them include notes, but how can you know what other characteristics you're looking for on those listings? Is there
Just
any other way?
what I told you. You don't need no more than that. It's where the realtor is savvy enough
Mhm.
to put the marks sections saying that the seller might have some flexibility. The seller might be a non-traditional seller
Cool.
that doesn't require the traditional retail price and terms. And
I did see that a couple of times. I've got to say. So
yeah, you see those, and then you go look at them, and you're going to find the majority of them are in locations you won't want,
Mhm.
or the situation isn't good, so you don't buy them.
Mhm.
But you start there first, I think. Now, sometimes deals can be manufactured; they get to be created. A creative real estate deal can be made into a good deal. But since this segment is talking about going deeper into a local area, I'm going to say I'm going to look for the highly motivated seller, and frankly, that's why I'm willing to expand my parameters on buying within a 50-mile radius. If I can find a highly motivated seller in there, then great, I'll do that. But what happens if I can't? What if the market is so over there's just too many buyers and they're always competing with each other? Then I'm going to expand. I'm going to go further out. I might go to another state. I might go across the country to find that highly motivated seller. So now let me tell you a strategy that I would recommend. If you live in a local area, to pick a target territory within your local city, or maybe just outside your local city in another smaller community, and make a target territory by literally identifying the parameters. Say 1 mile by 1 mile, 1 mile by 2 miles, 2 miles by 2 miles. In other words, it's a specific neighborhood, and it's bounded by streets. And therefore, you know exactly where your buying farm is. Now, in that target territory, there are going to be about 1,000 properties, maybe more, depending on if you have a larger size. You try to pick a target territory that is close to work, to shopping, to parks, to the, positive things. So you're going to select something that is close to those things, realizing that in that target territory you've selected, I call it your buying farm, that 20% of those properties are going to sell in the next year. They might not even know they need to sell right now. They haven't even thought about it right now. But sometime in the next year, something's going to come up. Is it going to be a personal problem or a property problem? If it's a property problem, that means it got termites or something like that, or they found out that it had a room that wasn't approved by the city to add a room on, and they have to tear it off. They have to take it down, So it's got a property problem. And I don't want property problems. If it's a good enough deal, I'll take a property problem. But what I really want is a personal problem. Mm-hmm. Why are you selling? You're selling because some kind of personal issue, health, divorce.
Yeah. Bankruptcy.
Death,
maybe?
bankruptcy. Exactly. A lien's been filed against the property by somebody else. Exactly. So I go into the target territory and I realize if 20% of the property is going to sell, that means there are going to be between 100 and 200 properties that would be put on the market in that target territory in the next 12 months. Cool. So as I go throughout my week, I'll drive through my target territory. If it's in another little community, another city nearby, then you just go for your Sunday drive and you drive through that community. You're going to see some for sale signs. Most of those for sale signs will be retail customers. They want their price and their terms. That's retail. But if there's 100 to 200 properties, that means there's probably one or two of those properties that are owned by a highly motivated seller with a personal problem.
And those are the ones that you truly want
Exactly.
to invest on.
So I'm going to ring the doorbell and I'm going to talk to the person. If they got a for sale sign out, I'd love it if it was said for sale by owner. That's my ideal, because the sellers usually are not sophisticated enough to mess up the negotiation. Excuse me. Like with the realtor will mess it up. Mm-hmm. The realtor will increase the price of the listing and create unrealistic expectations. If it's for sale by owner, good, great. But it could be listed with a realtor.
You can still convince them, though, that you can buy it directly from them.
They're willing to accept whatever offer they want to accept. They don't have to do what the realtor tells them to do. I prefer if the realtor was a real estate owner themselves, so they understood what our game really is. I would prefer that the seller had a personal problem rather than just trying to sell it to get rid of it, to make their money and move on to something else. Therefore, I'm going to find one or a handful of properties in that target territory will be owned by people who are selling that were under duress somehow. Now, it doesn't need to be a personal problem like I don't have to look for people who are desperate. That's nice. It's probably ideal, but for example, one of the properties I bought in San Francisco that I mentioned earlier, buying a property and nothing down in 72 hours, the owner of the property owned the property, had fixed it up, increased its value, and was willing to sell it to me for nothing down. That wasn't what you call a highly motivated, desperate seller. I mean, sometimes people are selling because they're making a smart decision. They're selling because they have another opportunity somewhere else so they can make money in some other place. But a buying farm, you might have heard me talk about this before, gives you the first crack at a property that just as it just comes up on sale, you get to talk to those sellers while they listed their property, if it's with a realtor or whether they just did it for sale by owner. Within a week, if you go at once every week, you'll find something pretty much fresh. It's brand new. And it may not have even come on the MLS yet. I mean, sometimes a seller or a realtor will do that. They'll put the sign up first. It may not be that other buyers might not even be aware of it. You know, if I go to the county courthouse, I can find out who has listed a property for sale. And it's a public knowledge. Everybody knows. Right. But sometimes the seller knows more than the realtor knows. The seller knows they're behind on their payments by 5 months. And the realtor may not even know that, see? They may be just hoping that they can sell it and then solve the problem, this financial problem they've got. So as soon as that for sale sign goes up, I want to talk to that seller. The realtor's going to put up a sign on the lawn saying, "Don't bother the owner." Go bother the owner. That's a clue to you. Go bother the owner. And if the owner says, I don't want you to bother me, then you know they're not highly motivated. Mm-hmm. If they're highly motivated, they'll want to talk to you. They'll want to talk to anybody, right? So every week, 5, 10 properties are going to come available for sale. Stop and talk to them. Sometime during that year, you're going to buy a property from in that target territory.
That's right. And
So
you never
anyway,
know.
that's the conversation about going deep.
That's right. And you never know. You could find a really good deal right around the corner. You just have to keep looking. And it's kind of like, I feel like in a way, kind of like working out. The more you exercise your creative real estate skills, the easier that it's going to be for you to just pinpoint any map and be like, I have a really good deal right there.
That's right. You will.
Thank you so
That's
much
true.
again, Robert. And thank you to our
See you,
audience.
everybody.
And we're going to see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.